What's up, everyone? Welcome to Indie Comics Review. This is a show where every week I review 3 indie comic books. If that's the kind of content that you find interesting, be sure to hit the like button and the subscribe button. And if you would like to support the channel, there's a link down below to my alternative city shop where I sell t-shirts, comic books that I make, pens that I make, magnets, all kinds of other cool stuff, and that helps support this channel. So let's get started right away with the first book of the week, which is Masquerade Number One. It's written by Kevin Smith and Andy McElfresh, and it's also drawn by John Springelmeyer, and it's on Dark Horse Comics. Felicia Dance is hiding in plain sight. The provocative social media star and shock TV sensation has one of the most recognizable faces in the world, so she can't capture and kill the butchers who murdered her little brother and experimented on Felicia like a lab rat when she was a child. Not unless she looks like someone else. The face of justice is reshaped forever in Masquerade, an exciting new vigilante comic series from writers Kevin Smith and Andy McElfresh, and artist John Springelmeyer, marking the dynamic debut of Smith's Secret Stash Press imprint with his very own vigilante. Masquerade takes place in the imaginary city called Trenton. It's called the Trench for short. Used to be known as the pretty city by the bay. Right now, it's only known as the shitty city by the bay. Someone in this city is experimenting on people and doing horrible things to them and murdering them. This is what the vigilante Masquerade is out to prevent. The story begins showing that this one person being stalked and killed by that killer. Now, before we meet Felicia Dance, who is the protagonist in this story, we're first introduced to this local news anchor who's having a dalliance with one of his co-anchors. And through this dalliance, he unfortunately loses his good-paying network job. So he's in the market for a new job. His agent introduces him to Felicia Dance, who is this social media star who is kind of making it big now. She's the hottest thing. Our journalist friend, our TV anchor friend, feels like he's more of a journalist, so he's above the whole social media thing, but he's in need of a job because he just got himself into a predicament there. So he's going to have to eventually meet with Felicia's people and probably work something out. Now we flash to Felicia in her guise as Masquerade, this vigilante who seeks vengeance on the people who did things to her and her little brother. We don't get to the whole story yet. More is given in the blurb here. That's actually revealed in the first issue. But you can tell that there's some kind of a vengeance factor that Masquerade is seeking against these people. This is the first book under the Secret Stash imprint from Kevin Smith. And welcome back, Kevin Smith. This is one of the best things I've seen him do in a while. The co-writer, Mandy McElfresh, maybe put a little bit of a different slant on the story. You can still hear Kevin's voice, obviously, in a lot of the dialogue, which is the thing that we, us Kevin Smith fans, love about him. But there's a nice balance to the dialogue and to the story as well. The concept is nice. The artwork by John Springelmeyer is very heavy lined, like a heavy brushstroke kind of like the art in the TV show Archer, which I love. So I don't have a problem with this art at all. Some folks may, of course, because art is subjective, and some folks like what they like and they don't like anything else. But I think the art is fine. I think it fits the story well, and Kevin Smith's writing, along with Andy McElfresh, I think it's going to be something I like to check out. I did not get to read this for a long time. For some reason, I thought about buying an issue of it when it first came out, like over a month ago, but I knew I hadn't a copy coming from my comic shop, so I just waited and waited and waited. So I finally got that copy, and I read it, and I did like it. I will be finding the subsequent issues of this book to see what's happening with it, because Kevin Smith's my guy, and he's back with a good story in Masquerade. So I do recommend this book. The next book is The Roadie Number One. It's written by Tim Seeley with art from Fran Galan, and it is also on Dark Horse Comics. More than 35 years after his heyday, a former heavy metal roadie must return to the back roads of America to do a job he thought he retired from: exorcist. But this time, he's not saving groupies and drunk bassists. He's trying to save his daughter. So the roadie begins back in the early 80s during the heyday of the Satanic Panic, when a lot of parents were claiming that heavy metal music was the devil's music. And it was just craziness going on. There were lots of weird things, and turns out, according to this book, they were onto something. So Joe D, the roadie, his real name, was an exorcist and also a roadie for a heavy metal band back in those days. What heavy metal music artists were doing, it turns out, was summoning demons. They were summoning demons during their songs. It was up to a roadie's. I think there may be more than one roadie that was doing this, because he couldn't do it all by himself. So there, I guess, Joe D is one of many roadies who would exercise and return the demons after these musicians would summon them. So fast forward to today, and he's coming back because I guess things kind of went out of style as everything does, and now the whole satanic thing is coming back into style. So Joe D is back on the road again with one of his old bandmates doing a revival tour. One night, Joe D comes home to his room and he plays one of his favorite VHS tapes, and it turns out this VHS tape summons this succubus, and the succubus comes out and tells him or informs him that, hey, guess what? You have a daughter. And his daughter is also on her way to becoming a heavy metal singer. What the succubus informs Joe D is that there's a new demon on the rise, and she's approaching the control of mankind in a different way. So according to this succubus, Satan has been overthrown by this new demon who is using people against each other. He's using suspicion and hatred. So people turn against one another. That might ring a bell. So, at the center of all this newfound evil is his daughter that he didn't even know he had. And not only does he need to save mankind from this entity, he needs to save his daughter. So Joe D jumps in his car and heads south to California to meet his daughter. Meanwhile, his daughter is down there getting her performance chops in order, getting her summoning together, and just summoning away as Joe D heads south to her aid. I like the new twist that Tim Steele is putting on this book as far as the whole satanic panic thing goes and rock and roll being the devil's music. The artwork is great. The design of the book is nice. So I would like to see more of what's coming from this series. The concept of people being used at different eras, by entities on Earth, completely makes sense, actually, if you think about it. But that's another story. Yeah, so Fran Gallian's art is nice. Tim Seeley's writing is good. I'm curious to see what they're going to do with this story, and I'll stick around for another issue or two just because of those points. Yeah, The Roadie Number One. Check it out. The next book is The Boogeyman Number One. It is written by Matthiel Salvia and drawn by The Jet. And it is on Ablaze Comics. Passionate about reading, Elliot has always had a preference for the stories of boogeymen, those monstrous creatures which, at night, hide in the shadows or under the bed to frighten little children. He can't imagine how much they will change his life. Witnessing the bloody murder of his parents, he will discover that in reality, boogeymen do indeed exist, and very precise codes govern their existence. When one of the most powerful boogeymen, Father Death, decides to protect him, Elliot finds himself plunged into a terrible conflict at the heart of a universe as terrifying as it is fascinating. So here's an interesting concept. There's not one boogeyman, but many boogeymen. The story begins when this kid, Elliot, is telling the police, or at least they're trying to work up a way to get information from Elliot without disturbing him too much. He's already been traumatized from witnessing the death of his parents, to tell the police what happened. He slowly starts to break it down, and he tells them that he was trying to tell his parents that the boogeyman was real. And of course, parents never listen to their kids. Listen to your kids. And one night, a boogeyman came a-knocking, and that's what happened to everyone. But as it seems, there are, as I said, more than one boogeyman, but it looks like there is maybe a rift within the boogeyman. And there are some boogeymen who have decided to maybe go to the good side, because this one boogeyman seems like it may be a protector of young Elliot. And there's other boogeymen that are out to get him. I guess boogeymen are manipulated by certain other beings, kind of like maybe zombies or something like that. So this one boogeyman has come to Elliot's place. There's another boogeyman that's protecting Elliot. So there's a conflict there, and we talk about, and it's talked about how amongst the boogeyman that there is they need to alert this, I guess, the leader of the boogeyman or something like that, to let them know that there is a rogue boogeyman protecting this kid. And so that's a thing that's going to be, I think, a plot line going forward with this story. Yeah. So the art's great on this book. It's got several nice covers. One of them I like is the Ghost Rider variant by Carlos Nieto. That's a nice issue there. So this is a very dark book, literally. The color palette is a very dark tone. The art style of the Jet, they give kind of an angular look to their characters, and it adds to the terrifying aspect of this story. So this is another book that I waited for a while to get and finally picked it up. It's been out for a while. There's about maybe 2-3 issues, at least 2 issues out so far. So this is the other one that I'm a little late on, but I dig it, and I'll be checking out further subsequent issues of The Boogeyman as well. So good timing for all these books to come out right around Halloween, for me to review them at least right around Halloween. So there you go. That's going to do it for this Indie Comics review. I did not have an artist alley for this week, but I did receive a submission, so I didn't have a chance to read it yet. So next week I'll have a chance to have read it, and we'll have a new artist alley book from a self-published artist next week, along with 3 other new indie comic books. So thanks for stopping by, everyone. Be sure to leave a like and hit the subscribe button and turn notifications on so you know when I'm making my next video. So until next time, see you guys in the funny papers. Hey, don't forget to subscribe and leave a thumbs up.